And now it's time for our Notre Dame slot.
May I have your attention, please?
You need passion. You need desire. You need want. We play with that passion. We play together. We play for each other. And we play to win. We are Notre Dame.
Yes, it's time for the Notre Dame Report, brought to you in association with Indiana Tourism and Indiana Dunes Tourism, I should say. And joining me on the line from Indiana is Len Clark. Len, welcome to the programme.
Good afternoon and Merry Christmas to everybody listening in Dublin.
And Merry Christmas to you too, Len, and everybody listening to us anywhere in the world on the World Wide Web. Now, this is the last show we're going to be doing ahead of the bowl game, which is on December 28th. And just remind our listeners the name of the bowl game, where it's taking place, and who the opponents are. Because in the build-up to the weekend that decided who Notre Dame were going to be playing against, these weren't really on the radar.
Notre Dame will play next Saturday, December 28th, with a noon Eastern Time kickoff in the Camping World Bowl, which is in Orlando, Florida. The Fighting Irish came in number 15 in the college football rating system, but because of the conference affiliation, this is the bowl that Notre Dame was eligible to go to. Now, a lot of people wanted Notre Dame to play on a New Year's Day with that 10-2 record, but it is what it is, and their opponent is going to be the Iowa State Cyclones out of the Big 12. And so this is a chance for Notre Dame to put a product on the field one more time in the 2019 season, and then we'll do it again in the spring to get ready for the 2020 season, and more importantly, getting ready for that first game of the college football season to kick off the 2020 season in Dublin at Aviva Stadium.
Yeah, and that's something we're all looking forward to. It's going to be one of the highlights of the summer in 2020. Now, do you have a guest for us this week?
I do. It is my privilege to introduce you to the founder and president of Global Football, and no stranger to Dublin, Mr. Patrick Steenberge, who is on the line with us. And I think he's out in Colorado right now. So we say good afternoon from Dublin and good afternoon from Indiana, Patrick.
Hey, good day to you and all my friends over in Ireland. It's great to be talking with you, Declan. And, yeah, the Irish are going to play in a bowl game. It's not what they wanted. You know, they wanted to be in that college football playoff, but didn't get that. But they get to play in a good bowl game, and I'm working every day on the event next August in Dublin.
Patrick, how big a challenge do you think the Iowa State Cyclones are going to present to our Fighting Irish when they play in Orlando?
You know, Iowa State's been a good team for a number of years, and as I looked at their record, 3 of their losses were by a total of 5 points. So they've got the ability to play with the Irish. They're obviously going to have the psychological excitement for a team from like Iowa State to play against Notre Dame. You know, we always get everybody's best game, but I think even more so at a bowl game like this. So I think Notre Dame will have to be ready. They'll have to step up because Iowa State's got some talent. They're really well coached, and will be coming with a lot of fire.
And how are they? Are they pretty healthy going into this? Do they have a lot of injuries, or how are they shaping up?
Yeah, they seem pretty healthy. I think both teams are pretty healthy. You know, having really about 3 weeks off is good for everybody. You get a lot of people with minor injuries that they get to come back for the game. So I think both teams will be at their best.
How difficult?
It's interesting because you're getting that perspective from an individual who played football. He played quarterback at the University of Notre Dame for one of the greatest coaches in all of college football, Eric Parsegian. And the question that I really want to ask you, Patrick, is that at Notre Dame, it's not a 4-year commitment, it's really a 40-year commitment. So how did the experiences of playing for ERA really prepare you to do something like global football and end up in Dublin?
Wow, that's a lot of pieces of my life as I look back to it 45 years ago or so. You know, were formed while I was at Notre Dame in the early 70s. And I was thinking today, ahead of this call, that back to the first bowl game that I played in 1971, we played against University of Texas, who had won 30 straight games, 2 straight national championships. They were kind of like the Alabama or Clemson of today. And we went down to Dallas and handled them 24-10. And it was a great victory. We only had one loss that year, which was to USC, but I can remember it vividly. And I can also remember standing on the sideline before the game, and it's a glorious sunny day, 60, 65 degrees out. And I looked at my friend Joe Hager, who was from Dallas, and I said, Joe, is it always like this? Because we got 2 or 3 months of snow and sleet and rain and in South Bend. And he said, well, not always, but at that time I said, I may move here someday. And about 35 years later, or 35 years ago, I moved to Texas and have lived there ever since. So bowl games have a big impact on you, as do the guys you play for. And people like Coach Parsegan obviously had a lasting memory for me. I think his one line that I remember and use a lot in my business is, we have no breaking point. And he talked about that all the time, that when people get tired or you get a little sore, you get a little beat up or something, a lot of people tend to take an easy way and back off. And Era just beat that into us, that we have no breaking point. And I guess that's kind of helped me with the idea of doing global football also.
Len, so how's the Notre Dame roster looking? They're looking pretty good in terms of health?
Notre Dame has finalized their roster, and the one interesting thing that was talked about in the press conference yesterday is that Jameer Jones has entered the transfer portal, so he will not play for the Irish next year, but he will probably play in the Camping World Bowl on Saturday against Iowa State. And so it's a game that the Irish are looking forward to. They really haven't talked about who is going to be calling the offensive plays, with Chip Long no longer with the program, and so it's kind of a mystery right now. Is it going to be Tom Rees, or is it going to be the running backs coach? Off the top of my head, I'm just losing the train of thought. But it's going to be just another game, another day of business, and it's a chance once more to just Notre Dame to kind of put a final top on the 2019 season and really use this as the springboard for the next season. And I know a lot of people are excited about that 2020 trip in Dublin, Declan. It's really a chance to show the Fighting Irish what that 2020 team is going to look like. But don't underestimate the Naval Academy. And Patrick, you'll probably say this, is if you're going to play Navy, you might as well play them in the first game of the season, because of what they do offensively and defensively. It's a tough team to prepare for during the regular season.
Yeah, mid-season it's really tough, because the offense they run is so different than what you generally face by other teams throughout the year. So, yeah, by playing them first in the year, they'll have a chance to work on it in preseason. And Navy's doing a lot of things these days. It's not just option football, but it's a lot of things off it. So it's a good time to play them, and it'll be really exciting for both teams to return after having been there in 2012.
And it's not the only game in Dublin coming up in 2020. You've got a bunch of games scheduled throughout the whole weekend, that last weekend in August of 2020.
Yeah, my role in the whole event, as what has been the last 3 times there's been college games, is to bring high school teams over to face off on Friday as kind of the prelude, and it'll be really top-level American football at the high school level. And I think for a lot of the fans that won't be able to get tickets to the Aviva Stadium, I know they're going to be rare. They can come to the high school game. So we've got 4 teams right now from 4 different states coming over that'll play on Friday in the old Donnybrook Stadium, which is now Energia Park. So I'm excited to be working on that. And I've got a few other teams that are still talking about coming. So,
and you and Declan actually have something in common. You both have ties to UCD.
You know, I heard you mention that. Declan, what's your link to UCD?
I'm an alumni, and I've been the stadium announcer for UCD's Major League Soccer team here in Ireland since 2016, and I've been the club historian since the late 80s. I graduated from UCD in 83. The following year we won the National Cup for our one and only time, but that was quite an amazing achievement. And we've been playing against the elite teams in soccer here since 1979. If you could imagine Notre Dame playing in the NFL, you've got some kind of an idea of what we're trying to do, albeit on a much smaller scale.
That's impressive. Well, one of the first men I met ahead of the 2012 Notre Dame Navy game, I needed to start meeting folks and finding practice fields and game fields and everything, or pitches as you call them. And I was introduced to a man named Brian Mullins, who all Irish sports fans know very well, the director of sport there.
Yeah.
And we met, and he was most welcoming, and So all of our teams practice at UCD. Each of the years we do this, all the high schools do. In fact, he helped me with Penn State. They did their practice at the UCD Bowl when they came over in 14. And it's been great to introduce me to lots of other people, folks connected with Crow Park and the GAA. And he actually they were just finishing their incredible swim center at the time.
Yeah.
And my daughter was looking for graduate school. She just was finishing up at University of Tampa, where she was a swimmer and wanted to study physiotherapy. And got their information. They started recruiting her, and she got her master's degree at UCD and swam 2 years under Coach Earl with the swim program. So, and the oddest thing, when she was there going into school in 2012, and they started classes 2 days after the Notre Dame Navy game that year, she managed to, she was working for me, and she met a young man who was in the Smurfett School there at UCD, and 2 years later they got married out near Navan. So
wow.
We've got lots of good connections in Ireland.
Absolutely, yeah. I as I said, I'm involved with the soccer team here, but our women's field hockey team, we had 9 alumni in the team that got the silver medal at the World Cup in London last year, and we've got a huge banner on the back of the sports department headquarters in UCD celebrating the achievement. And I saw 8 of those players play field hockey for UCD on my watch, as it were. So we were very, very proud of those girls in 2018. So yeah, we have a lot of athletic achievement in the university, and of course we're the number 1 academic institution in the country.
Sure, and I heard about the field hockey. In fact, I saw the banner. I was over there in springtime, working on this.
Yeah.
And Brian then introduced me to the manager for the field hockey team, and I now have, along with Notre Dame and Navy game and our high school football games, we've got a high school field hockey game from Connecticut coming over, and they're going to play against one of the Irish teams. They're going to train there at your stadium. Mm-hmm. So we're broadening out our scope a little bit, just to bring sport and student athletes to Ireland around the event.
No, that's fantastic, and I'm sure they'll enjoy it. That's the stadium in UCD is actually the home field for the national team.
Right. Yeah, I've heard. I got to see it for the first time, and the girls from the Kent School in Connecticut, they're really excited to come over and kind of clinic and practice with the Irish girls, and then learn, and then have a game there.
Well, it
really is a small world.
Yeah, there's a young lady.
It really is a small.
There's a young lady in the U.S. national program who's the goaltender. Her name is Jess Jecko. She spent a season playing in the league here in Dublin with a team called All Alexandra, and All Alexandra have just gotten promotion to the National League in the last couple of years. So they've gone from strength to strength. But Jess Jecko actually, on the back of her season in Ireland, got to be the number 1 goalie for the USA.
Wow.
As I said, it's a small world, and Patrick, it sounds like there's a great connection between you and Declan now, but what is the need for global football over in Dublin? Is there some volunteering opportunities, or how can individuals kind of learn how they can attend some of these events, and how can they learn about information of upcoming events in Dublin?
Well, we're working closely with the Irish American Football Federation. They've got some great new leadership there the last couple of years, so they're going to be involved and very helpful. But anybody who wants to know anything about the sport, I think if you work through those, and Orla McAleese is doing a great job as their president. And then we'll have our, the teams will come in on Wednesday morning, the 26th, and then we'll train at UCD on Wednesday and Thursday, and then have our games on Friday. But I think if you go that way and just keep information, our global football sites is where we'll have all the information on both our website and our social media. But we're going to get the message out, and we'd love to have people come on Friday afternoon and be part of that. We're also going to do a big high school parade right in City Center on Thursday evening, and end with a pep rally in Trinity College. So for sports fans who don't know, they're not so accustomed to having marching bands and cheerleaders and all that, we're going to bring that to you on Thursday and Friday.
Well, definitely keep the lines of communication open with On the Ball and Dublin City FM as the way to promote the events coming up. And I think I'll speak for Declan. If you're looking for somebody with some stadium announcing experience, I know somebody who's on the other end of the phone right now, Declan, who might be able to help you out.
Declan, when I heard that, this might be a perfect match, because we're going to have the voice of Notre Dame Stadium for the past 38 years. Michael Collins is going to come over and do our announcing for the high school games. He's a dear friend, and he is. When you hear him call a game, you think you're in Notre Dame Stadium. So since we're going to have at least 2 games, what we may do is I'll reach out to you and see if you and Michael might work together on those 2 games. It'd be a perfect partnership between Ireland and America.
Michael Collins is a great Irish name as well. So
yeah, I'd say
for sure. Patrick Steenberge, thank you so much for joining us in the program. I hope you have a great Christmas and a happy New Year, and hopefully we'll meet in 2020 when you're over here.
We'll definitely do that, Declan, and hello to all my Irish friends. We'll be back there soon.
Len, thank you so much for joining us in the program. Next time we speak, the game will have taken place, so go Irish.
Go Irish, as we say, and everybody have a happy Christmas.
And that brings our Notre Dame report to a close.